What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 game development live stream where we're back in our Deck Knight project, a game built from scratch, of course, using Unreal Engine 5, C++ blueprints, and the Buildability System plugin. So today, hopefully, we will be wrapping up our Damage Pipeline Subsystem debugger. To be honest, I think I've been using this as a way of distracting me from, still working on the actual game itself. So, after today, I promise we're going to be working on the actual gameplay again going forward. So we have everything working. We are able to pick which pawn we want to do. We can check which type of modification we want to do, damage or healing. And we can also filter if it was received or applied. And if it's damage, we can also filter based on whether or not it's simulated hit, or if it's healing, it's fire, it's physical. So we're able to filter based on that and get some information on that. And we're also able to draw the hit in the world in case we need to kind of know where the impact was. And, we can do things like modify the radius of it as well, because it is a slider. So you'll see up to a max size, And we can also change the color of it if we wanted to. So yeah, all good. Works like a charm, how I feel like. But I want to make sure that we can also filter for other things, like if it's a damage over time, and if it's a like a critical hit, damage over time kind of thing. So I want to make maybe a context filter. So that's what we're going to try to do today. Just adding those two filter types for context. And then, we can also do things like maybe for tags and stuff like that. But I think having these two additional filters will bring it to a place where I'm happy with it. And then we can move on with the actual gameplay. And the actual gameplay, there's a couple things I kind of want to hit the ground running with. I think I want to, by default, move the camera up higher, because I want to move the cards to the bottom of the screen and possibly move the character information above, but we'll have to see. And I also want to introduce like the, every time you do like a melee hit, there's some sort of like, builder spender. They have something like that in Cuphead, which I think is pretty cool. You can do that. And like the longer you charge it, the bigger the payoff kind of thing. So we'll have to see what we can make of it, But, for real, we need to do cards. Make sure that plays well. And then, maybe make updates to like the locomotion and stuff like that. So let's jump in. I did a little bit of the grunt work for the context tag kind of stuff. Not context tags, but context data stuff. So there is this thing, B, show only damage over time, and B, only show criticals. So I think I need to probably add just another combo option. There's damage type filters here, and then the checkbox. So I think I need to just add another I am GUI type. Like I might have to do something very similar. It could maybe be an int rather than a checkbox. Not a checkbox. Int instead of a boolean. Let's do something like that. So static int damage on context filter. That'll end our to do. Defaulted to 0. Move that. Make this an int. And then I should be able to find that combo here. I have to do like GUI push ID as well. Push ID. Maybe I don't, because it's not a unique name. So let's try. I have another combo. And we're gonna call it damage context filter. Let's see, damage mod context filter. Yeah, it's gonna be all. It's gonna be critical only. Damage time only. That'll be like the only ones that we have. And then here we can do probably some similar checks here. We don't need this logging anymore. It has exact tag, and we're going to say, is it damage type critical and that, and then something similar, I think, for time. That has something with the check boxes in one of these columns that make them enabled or disabled based on. Yeah, we have this checkbox here. Over time, I mean, so entry P is. I guess we could do that as well. Here, rather than this, let's say, well, the critical one first. If entry critical, and then for this one, do entry.be time effect, something like that, I think. 0. So 0 is all, 1 is critical, and that's damage over time. So let's see if that could work. Oh, you compiled, so that's a good sign, right? So, fingers crossed that the logic is sound. And then if it is, we can, I think, move on to more gameplay-oriented things. So let's open up our damage pipeline. So we have this context filter all. So I'm going to apply a critical hit. So let's see if I do this, event type, applied, damage, all. So we should see some that are critical, right? They're all critical. So if I wait long enough, the rest should not be critical. I'm not sure why I get that weird behavior, but some are not critical, right? So what I should be able to do is say critical only. And nothing really updated, so that doesn't work. Did I do the wrong variable when I did the copy paste maybe? Let's find out. So here, yeah, I'm doing damage type. Whoopsie. So we're saying damage mod context filter. I'm sure there's a more elegant way to write this, but for now, whatever. So let's do a reload. And we'll see if we get this to work. And I should be able to update some of this stuff here. So damage pipeline cleanup, I think I can close all of that. Solve all 3 items. This is also done. I go back to tasks for streams. Special melee attack. Great damage attribute set. What did I say? Maybe I need to do that. Not sure yet. Add sprinty to the game. Also not sure if I need to do that right now. I probably do need to clean up the camera settings. So maybe we can do that today. Because I wanna kind of solidify my camera angle, my camera position. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't need anymore. At least in some of the behaviors. So I should be able to kind of clean up some of the character controller and stuff like that. But yeah, then I gotta do things for blocking. I don't think we need a parry mechanic in this game, if I'm gonna be honest. At least for this pacing that I'm going for, I'm not confident yet in it. Okay, but let's see if this works. So let's do our damage. So critical only damage. So I'm gonna hit him like normal. And as you can see, it still doesn't work. But if I do apply a critical, it also shows. So am I doing? I should be doing the right filtering thing. Did I also fuck up? No. Damage context. So damage mod context filter. So if and not damage mod filter equals 0 or is it because they're both here? Let's comment one of them out. The other one's a damage over time effect. We'll find out the hard way. Boom, 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 boom. Alright. Again, the damage context, critical only, right? That's all I can. Me. Any damage, I guess, applied, but we'll do all. Still getting that. So am I able to breakpoint here? Last time I was trying to debug this, it was, yeah, that's not available possibly due to compiler optimization, so it's not giving me much. Damage mod filter. Why is this wrong? It's not critical, so that's why it shouldn't be showing. Need to do a UE log, I guess. Just need to know what number is being used here. It's kind of confusing. Boom, boom, boom. We're gonna have to use the output log. Oop, hear it. Oh, I literally just kind of need to know. So I hit it. Now it should be printing a bunch. So damage mod 1. If the entry is critical, using the damage mod filter, is critical hit not being through or something? Let me see. Say damage type, but we're gonna see. Hope that's valid. I don't know why I closed out of the whole engine there. I'm wondering if my logic is wrong. Hey, Gilsey, thanks for the follow there. Much appreciated on Kick. Do assume you're a bot. That's okay. Let's hope we get the print string here. That's correct, right? Up, damage event, me. Only. Bam. What are we getting? The critical is false. Damage mod is 1. So, like, this should evaluate what I was. Like, I keep thinking if. So, if it is critical and it's not 0 or 1. I'm curious why this is not what I think it is. This is just this logical operator. Maybe it has to be written more simpler. Also, let's see if just putting it down like this. So if it's critical, not 1. For now, let's write it like that, just to see what results we get. That pass. Okay. I don't know why it's not really doing what I'm hoping. I also recommend doing switch instead. Is this like I'm trying to at the very least try to separate it out. So and then I actually got to do a critical hit. So let's see if this will work. And you thought I had time to refactor camera stuff. Simple mistake. Okay, let's try. So activate. We do a critical hit. Wait. Hit. It's not critical. Now let's look at our damage pipeline. Damage, critical only. So all filters out the critical. Critical only doesn't really filter out. Damage over time. So critical only kind of works. But not in the way you'd imagine it. So what do we really want to say? So if it's a critical hit and doesn't equal 1, continue. Now, if I'm not mistaken, critical is 1, right? Yeah. Oh, I don't know why. I don't know why I suck at these like logical expressions. It takes me too long to think about them. So if it's a critical hit, and okay, that's why. I think. I want to grab this again, so not. I say. Although if it's not a critical hit, curious if this is the way to express it. So if it's not a critical hit, and so if it's not a critical hit and damage filter is not 0, maybe that's the better way of expressing that. Find out. And yeah, for the camera stuff that we have to do, I want to by default bring out the camera a little bit. And then there's a bunch of like panning logic that we're not using anymore. I think that there's opportunity to clean up our code. All right, so damage pipeline, right? So if we're doing criticals only, this should technically, nothing should appear. It does. Then if I deal critical, it does appear. Okay. And then if I do all, it shows everything. Okay. So then I should be able to do something very similar. So if entry dot damage over time and now I don't know if the burn that I do count as a damage over time effect. Yeah, it's not showing as damage over time, so I guess that's another bug to figure that out tonight, I think. Should be overtime. So let's see why. There should be a burn, right? I also have to figure out why the icon's not showing up. Could be because I don't have a status effect table on the thing. Let me find the dummy as well. DP dummy NPC. So there is a status effect table. That's our entries. But do we, does it also have like a, it has a status effect listener component. Status effect tags, okay. So is this what's missing? I don't know. One thing at a time. So here's our burn, right? And then we have apply damage over time to target, right? And this is a static. So let's go to our static. There should be a, oops, no, that's execution. Statics. And there should be, what's it called? Burn? Or they'll apply over time damage to target. So we do this, and we eventually get to this, right? Get to here, do all this, construct, if there is instant else, do that, and I think so we need to also add a context tag. I think our native gameplay tags has something like this, right? Fine. So where, if anywhere, do we do something with this? Pipeline types and in the health attribute. We go here. This is the damage branch. And we check B is damage over time. But where are we? Okay, so it's because it's trying to have this getting data damage over time, which it's not going to have, I don't think. Well, must be, but maybe we need to add it. Can I say spec dynamic granted tags dot add tag fast? Oh, fast. Let's just do add tag and it'll do data damage over time. Let's see if that's enough. Yo, how's it going, Lep from YouTube? Thanks for popping in, saying hello. How you doing? Hope all is good. Hope all is well. But I wonder if I should make it a unique tag for it, like a context tag instead of it being a data tag. Because yeah, it's data.damage over time, but maybe that's okay. Not sure why I had to compile everything. What did I change? Oh, I changed the header, right? I commented, removed a unnecessary include. Hopefully it's not going to yell at me because I did a hot reload for that, because it is quite a lot of changes we made. So let's see. So yeah, now we got our icon back. We fixed that. So let's go. I'll make sure I can. For some reason, tab is not giving me the mouse. So let's do a full recompile. They close the editor. And then we'll kind of just go from there. Gotta compile everything again, that's fun. Alright. Great success. Tonight I'm rocking a Snuggie of sorts. It was the holiday gift from work. So I'm nice and cozy. Getting ready for Christmas. 10 more days until my holiday starts, so I'm quite happy. Need a break. Gonna be going back home. Gonna go on a cruise. Cruising for a bruising. I don't think I need any of those assets open. So, there, get my mouse back. So let's do damage. Oh. So I'm gonna just do my bam. Yeah, now we're getting overtime, right? And I wonder if I don't know if it would be better if all of them kind of fell in the same category. But yeah, let me just deal a couple hits. The only overtime is showing at the moment. None damage. So yeah, damage over time is not working. Okay. So if not, so I guess. So if it's not damage over time, and the damage block filter is not 0, let's gotta do the same thing. Fingers crossed this will work. And then, yeah, let's look also. Let's go to our player. Oh, let's go to our character. So we have a camera setting somewhere, right? Yeah, DA player camera setting. There's so much in this that we don't really need. There's boom distance and stuff that we can do, and socket offset Z and things like that. I think that's fine, but yeah, there's this movement speed and vector distance and like interpolation, some really legacy things that I don't think we really need anymore. So I'll have to revisit. So yeah, let's hit once. All. Great. Now I'm gonna just do bam. No hit results. Now if I do critical only, it doesn't show anything. If I do damage over time only, still not correct. It does show up for all, which is good. So what's wrong? So if it's not damage over time, I'm using that same information for the checkbox, and I know it works. Here, could be around here. Yeah, critical entry fee is over time effect. So let's think about this. So if it's not an overtime effect and the mod filter is not equal to 0, okay, so if it's not a damage over time effect, like me, that maybe it's not logically sound like it ever is. Need a control, please. That all shows, and yeah, when it's damage over time, it gets removed. This, for whatever reason, is not showing. Damage type stuff is working, which is nice. Damage over time. Yeah. Uh, Hello, ZL Mercy. Hey, sorry to disturb you, but have you made the animations from scratch? Also, can you show me them just like a demo or showcase work? It'd be cool to see what you have so far. Sure. The animations, no. I did not make any of the animations or much of the art assets that you see. A lot of the stuff visually is from the Fab marketplace. But I am doing a lot of the code, or almost all the code and the design and stuff. So, we got an asset pack that gives us basic strafing locomotion. And then we have a basic 4-hit combo attack. Some dodges that we're going to have to replace. A special move attack that we're also going to have to clean up, update, and make it deal damage. We have a jump attack. We need to add jumping. We have an asset for jump and stuff. We just got to update the state machine. I'm also wondering if we even need to do strafing locomotion at all, because I want to zoom the camera out like this. So maybe it's fine to not have strafe locomotion. We'll have to kind of see. We also have a block pose, but we're also going to have to update our state machine with the block locomotion assets that we have from the same asset pack. What else do we have? We have the cards menu that we're going to have to update eventually. But yeah, we're doing some basic stuff. So what genre am I thinking? I want to do, well, everyone's doing, roguelites and stuff like that these days, but, something arcadey, something twitchy, some layered strategy, but I want to do a combination of something like Hades, but also with the deck building mechanics of Slay the Spire. So, I want you to, as you're playing the game, earn points to then spend on these cards. This card menu I'm going to integrate into the main UI. So most of your main abilities and your passives and your traps can be invoked by these cards, and then you use that to clear waves of enemies and defeat bosses and stuff like that. And so the goal would be to just kind of build up your character, build up your deck each run to get stronger and stronger, and then get as far as you can get. So that's what I'm kind of thinking, more or less. But right now we're working on our debugs. So we have our damage pipeline. I am GUI here that shows us all of our hit events and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, our damage over time filter is not really working. So when we deal damage, like our dodge, for example, applies burn, but we don't see that, even though it is marked as damage over time with this checkbox. Don't know why yet it's not showing in our filter. So that's where we're at, and then we're going to hopefully move on to actual game mechanics again. Update our camera where we want it to be, really start polishing what we have, and then working on spawning enemies and doing waves and stuff like that. Nice, I've literally just downloaded UE5 after spending like 3 weeks to build lore and character and ability. Very nice. But what made you choose Unreal? Yeah, Unreal is pretty tough. I've been using it for over a decade, and I'm still learning stuff and, making sure I stay on top of all the new stuff that comes in, at least involved with gameplay. But I think it's this first condition that's messing me up. Because it already filters it out. Because it's not a critical hit. Okay, yeah, I would say, yeah, UE5 is a good start. Godot is also a good start. Unity is a good start. Really just, I'm sure you've heard this advice a million times before, but it really just depends on the type of game you're making, the scope of it. Because sometimes Unreal just has so much in it that it kind of bloats your project unnecessarily and gives you too many tools and options, really. Whereas something like, Godot kind of gives you an empty sandbox that you kind of create within it a little easier. So, whatever floats your boat, learning anything is totally cool. So, do what you can. Okay, so I was right. So the previous filter is what's causing it. So if it's not a critical hit, how do I construct this string? I was thinking RPG instance style dungeon crawling. Okay, I mean it's doable. I would, go with Unreal if that's where your heart goes, but definitely do additional research with Godot and Unity, or Game Maker. It also depends if you want it to be 3D, 2D. Those factors have a lot to say about it. But I think I need to make... I think I have to construct this a little bit better. Because whichever one I do first will override the top one. So is it really a switch is a better option? So let's see. Switch. Maybe that's okay. Let's find out. Hopefully that's syntactically correct. I wanted 3, and also I was thinking high particle particle animation, you know, quite flashy. Oh, okay, then yeah, Unreal's a decent choice. But yeah, if it's gonna be super flashy, a lot of particles and things like that. If that's what you mean, particles, or I guess, well, I mean, animation tools. If speaking strictly animation, Unreal has a lot of one of the best tools out there. But yeah, keep all of that with a grain of salt. Yeah, hopefully the background music's not too bad, but I can link you it. 2077 Terminal Dream Synthwave Retrowave. Yeah, let's try again. So damage over time only. We're gonna go wham. Okay, so far it's working. Now I want to do a hit. So that hit doesn't work. Gonna do all. Okay, good. Critical only. Good. Do a critical hit. Okay, we did a couple of criticals. Now if we hit filter for critical only, yeah, we're not. Getting what we'd expect. So I did some critical hits, and they are showing as critical. Hey, thanks for the follow, ZL Mercy. Thanks for talking. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the follow. So damage over time works. Not critical. Doesn't. That's annoying. That's annoying. Got all that stuff. So we got a bunch of non-criticals. Critical only. Doesn't show up. We got some more messages from Kick. Definitely, like Kick honestly sucks. At least at the moment. Everyone just says, "Hey, homie, let's, you know, let's stream together." It's all bots. jump off a cliff. So what is logically wrong here? So if it's not critical, skip, right? But these are critical. Like the context text is showing that it is critical. Case 0, 1, 2, and case 1 is critical only. Again, let's just make sure. So we did a critical all, so it shows critical here. My brain is not smart enough for this. Simulate the hit, which I love at this point. And we should be able to filter out simulated damages. So critical, yeah, critical only doesn't work. Damage over time only seems to work. Right? It's right there. So there's one critical hit that we have at the beginning. I feel like I'm taking crazy. Oh. Let's just differentiate the operator and we'll see what happens. Oh, the music's over. Okay, let's do a new one. Let's see if we can get more bangers. So let's do a critical hit. So we've got card 2 that does critical hits. We go with BAM. We see that it's a crit. We see a bunch of crit. Damage pipeline. Player. Yeah, crit only. Still. We get here. And we know it's case 1. So I don't do any other filtering out, right? That would make it not show? Kind of crazy. I don't understand what's going on. I have to ask the machines. The boy is all out of ideas. It's like the overtime works fine. Okay, so it needs to have a break after each. Am I that dumb? I could be that dumb. It's not out of the realm of possibility for me to be that dumb. not out of character explicitly. Do ourselves a critical hit. Bam. Only. Bam. Okay. So I am. That's stupid. Okay. So switches always need to have breaks after them, otherwise they will fall through. Good to know. Then I can simulate. And then I can filter out the simulated one. I don't know if I'll ever need information like the timestamp showing, honestly. But at this point, I'm happy with this Damage Pipeline Debugger. So that's where I'm going to stop it and get some help. Talk to my therapist. What's going on? Okay, so now we can move on now to the camera settings. So there's a bunch of stuff that we really don't need. I know we can for sure probably double this, make it 900 as a default. And I should kind of start out here, yeah. And that's probably fine for now. Like potentially even more. We'll do 1200. I'll keep the camera zoom steps and everything like that, but there's so much that we need to kind of refactor out. So we're going to start in our camera settings. So let's go and find that. I don't remember where it's going to be. Player, no. Components, no. Camera settings. Data here. So what don't we need? So camera boom stuff, fine. But yeah, we need to get rid of movement speeds, max vector distance, recenter curve, move camera curve, rotate curve, pannings, recentering, edge panning. I wonder if we can get rid of, in general, pitch. So let me just nuke that stuff for now. Oh yeah, so to answer your question, Mercy, you can, inside of the editor, I guess it depends on which version you have, but as long as you have like 5.6 or 5.7, you should be able to go to the top here, go to Windows, and there's something called Fab, F-A-B. You can click on that. You can also access it through the Unreal Launcher, and that's where you can get free content, paid content. You can search for it. Just be careful, definitely look at reviews, look at their star ratings and stuff like that. But yeah, that's where you can check all of that stuff out. And I will write it in chat as well. Fab. I'll have example starter content stuff and all that good stuff. So definitely check it out. And you can download it, add it to your project, and kind of go from there. Let's see, min camera angle, pitch camera angle. I'm debating if we need that in this game. I wonder if we need to be able. We'll leave it on to manipulate it, but so yeah, camera rotation speed multiplier, camera interrupt speed, some more edge panning stuff we don't really care about. Controller rotation axis, camera target offset, downstrace stuff. I don't think we need. A lot of stuff is legacy, detaching and stuff. So we can get rid of that. Now, I'm sure now that I got rid of a bunch of that bloat, our player character, maybe even the controller, we're probably going to complain. Let's see. Input buffer. Why have an input buffer component? Okay. So player input. So there's some stuff. Input camera zoom. Oh, that's the rotate axis camera stuff. Seems good. We're gonna do a recompile in a moment, just in case I missed anything. Input, rotate camera axis. It's not necessary. Yeah, let's try to compile that. Yeah, hopefully the music is not too loud for you guys. Is it cutting in through my audio? You guys able to hear me fine? Do clean up and remove legacy settings. Put that in progress. It's perfect. Awesome. Good to know. Good to know. So my assumption is things are going to break after nuking so many settings, but we'll see. Maybe they just really weren't used, and this could be a quick change. Okay, I will accept that. Yeah, default camera boom length, default socket offset Z. Maybe that could be adjusted to give me a little bit more real estate at the bottom of the screen. I don't know if we're ever using this one. Camera zoom step. Yeah, we'll have to address that later. Let's open up our camera settings again. Now, yeah, relatively clean. I know there's also this like gameplay camera plugin and stuff like that. It all seems pretty cool. Just another system to learn, which shouldn't be too bad. But for now, we want to have a simplistic camera. So default offset Z. Let's get an idea here. Because I remember earlier, I was like, yeah, I think the camera needs to be close like this, up close and personal. But now I'm like, the camera should be up here, And I'm hoping if it's always like, because I also have to make it so like, if I am going to strafe, I should strafe around some sort of circle or target. That's what makes me think I don't really need it. I mean, like if I end up having to, if I want to do a hard lock, I don't even know if I want to even do a hard lock. Probably in the end, yeah, we'll do a hard lock. But so let me look at socket offset Z. Let's make this like 400. Let's just give it a number and see. I should be really high up, yeah. So it was 80 before, so can I make it 50? Well, I think that should give me a little bit more real estate on the bottom. Because I don't want a static camera in terms of like you can't rotate it yourself with pitch or anything like that. Hey, thanks for subscribing for tier 1 FD Foam. Much appreciated. You didn't have to do that. Thanks though. And I'm not sure if I like I guess the movement speed is okay to be a little slower. Because we'll have cards that can like increase your movement speed, and maybe we can see how that looks in practice. But yeah, more or less I like how this will look. But yeah, it's all about now moving this like camera stuff. Not camera stuff, the card stuff into the actual kind of game, which I think will be interesting. So we'll say that this cleanup, remove legacy settings is done. Resolve all 3 items. What was in the checklist items actually? What were the subtasks? Oh god. So create character movement sense, control different speeds, create NPC base class for projectile spawning. Yeah, design, block, and parry mechanics. I still gotta figure that out. Blend space for that. Damage attribute set. Special melee attack. Think what to do now. We have the main UI, right? The card field main is here. I should be able to find the hand, right? Current hand. So if I move that, size the content, just move them down here. Let's anchor them back down. Position 0, alignment 0.5, should get us in the center. So that kind of is what I want it to look like. You know, you have your cards down here. And you manipulate them. You can, you know, draw new cards and have only a certain amount in your hand at a certain time. Like, you can maybe, we can scale it. I don't know if these are too big, you know, like it really also depends on what the card is doing and, you know, the visual language of the card and, you know, how do we translate it to like an activatable ability or something like that, you know? I'm curious what you guys think of like this UI setup. Like, I'm gonna have to change the input, so on gamepad, you would manipulate the card switching with the triggers. So left trigger makes it go left, right trigger makes it go right, and then maybe like left bumper. Well, left bumper is activating it, so maybe right bumper or like clicking or something. It's like A makes you jump. So like I feel like if I make it A, then I can't really have jumping in this game. So will it play like Yu-Gi-Oh! How the cards work? So the idea behind the cards right now is like, if you look at the bottom left where the health bar is, there's these circles filling up, and these are like your card resources. So whenever you have enough to activate a card, you select it, you activate it, and it grants you either an active ability that will be added to your active ability bar, which then you can activate it with, you know, whatever input scheme it is. So you can, I don't know, spawn a volcano, you can, I don't know, do a big ground slam that like breaks the ground open, does a bunch of stuff, knocks enemies up or something. Or you can do passives where you can say like, you know, when this card's active, you know, your dodge applies burn like it does now, right? So like whenever you dodge, it applies burn. Or you can, you know, maybe use them as trap cards, because I want there to be also a high level enemy, like AI enemy, you know. So you'll have these characters, like these dummy characters, like you'll have these characters that are like cannon fodder, you know, different archetypes that are trying to kill you. But then there's another high level AI that's also playing cards, because I want it to be like a high level fantasy of like, what does it look like in game if two characters are playing a card game against each other? So you think like Magic the Gathering, or you think Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, what's it like in the perspective of the monsters that are being summoned and battling on the field? So I want your controlled character to be like your representative on the field as you're playing these cards, and you kind of buff that character. You could debuff the enemies, but then the other AI that's playing, this other character that you're fighting against in this card game, is also playing cards that do summons or buff their characters or debuff you. Will you be able to their cards? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Will you be able to see their cards? No. Like, I want the way they're going to play their cards is more or less going to be kind of at random and kind of thematic on that kind of enemy. So, you know, if there's a guy who's more elemental focused or fire focused, his cards will be kind of like that, where he'll play a card that says, okay, your character is now susceptible to fire damage. But then if you stack your deck correctly and build your deck correctly, you can possibly draw a card that mitigates that. Like, so you could say, okay, you know, you actually take half damage from fire damage, or deal twice as much damage to enemies that use fire or something like that. I still need to figure out the nuance and how that will look like, and you know, how do we balance what the cards are doing versus what the player is doing, making it worthwhile to play cards, you know. And you know how that counterplay will look like with that high level AI. Because yeah, I don't know if I really want to make you see what they're doing. But maybe it would be worthwhile. But I like the kind of the element of fog of war where you don't know what's coming or when, and you just need to be kind of prepared. And so basically, whenever you run out of cards, I kind of want you then kind of the work kind of like the Slay the Spire, where your deck reshuffles and you get it again, and you draw cards again. And you know, at the very beginning, I would want you to only be able to draw maybe up to 3 cards, and so when you play a card, you'll draw a new card, and you can only play a card if you have enough card resource cost. So you gain card resource cost currently passively, but I want you to also be able to earn it by killing enemies, by doing cool shit. Like a fast-paced turn-based game. Kind of, yeah. And that's where my concern is, like how much mental load is there in the actual like fast-paced gameplay that you're doing like this, and then activating cards and seeing what you're doing and knowing what you're doing at any given time, you know? And then I've been thinking a lot, because I've been watching a lot of TikToks of like, you know, people open up Pokemon cards, and that whole like the whole scene around Pokemon cards. You know, you have God packs, you have demigod packs, you have SIRs, you have all these like illustration rares and these chases and stuff like that. So like what I'm thinking is like the high level game, so outside of combat, you are just like playing this card game in a card shop. And so after each wave, after you defeat this like high level player and you move on to like the next kind of round, you'll have like intermittency between these rounds, and that's when you can like go to the card shop owner and talk to them, buy new cards, trade cards in. As you're playing, you earn points. You can use that to build your character's attributes. You can trade cards, build cards, upgrade cards, maybe even buy packs with this current, like no real money, of course, but you can use this currency to like buy cards or buy decks or buy packs, and you can open these packs, rip these packs, trade and stuff like that. I mean, if you have enough cards, people will mess around and create stupidly OP decks. I hope so. That would be fun. You know, well, obviously there's gonna be limitations to things. Like I have to figure out what those limitations are. Like maybe you can only have a certain number of cards in your deck, and you must have a certain amount of each type. So you must have like 5 ability cards. You must have 5 passive cards. Must have 5 trap cards or debuff cards or things like that. So trying to figure out what those are and what they mean and how we balance that is going to be pretty tricky, but we kind of need to get there first. But I know it's definitely going to be a challenge. But that's kind of the ultimate goal. So like, you know, you're just fighting waves of enemies, and you just kind of build your character in an interesting kind of way, and the deck as well. And so eventually I would want there to be kind of different classes. Like right now there's the, you know, warrior class that is just melee focused. And I want this to be like a builder spender class where you kind of, when you perform the melee hit combo, you kind of build an additional resource that you can then use to use this attack, and you do a big slam and take more enemies out. And then you can have passives that, you know, change these behaviors, you know, have a dodge attack kind of like in Hades, and how that kind of flows together. So it's not a cooldown on the cards. It's one use, then you get a random card, replace it from the deck you have. That I'm not too sure of yet either. Like if I'm thinking about like active cards, you know, say, so again, an active card just means it grants an ability to your, you know, your ability slot. So when you activate that card, you grant that to your ability deck or your ability slot, and then you can use that whenever you want. So I'm thinking when you use that card, yes, you get a new one. But I'm thinking if there needs to be some like different layers of passives and stuff like that. So like maybe passive cards stay in your hand and you can activate them as long as you have the currency to activate it. But as long as they're active, you can't get like a new card drawn in its place. So you kind of have to sacrifice, like, you know, if this is the card you want to keep. I'm guessing it needs to be cooldown based in some way. So you have a passive that says your movement speed is now increased. for X amount of time. Maybe there's different layers of passives, so maybe they could say per wave or per round, or maybe there's just some higher level meta of cards where like your active cards here only apply to the wave and the things you're doing now, but there's like a certain layer that applies to things in between rounds and in between characters and waves and stuff like that. Still not too sure. I've been just fucking around with debugs for too long, and so now I really need to think about what this looks like. So we have our cards. And I want to just confirm if it's as easy as I hope to make some cards. You got a runtime error. Attempted to access BP dummy. You gotta write some stuff down. The idea sounds really good. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm writing stuff down. I'm working with one of my friends from back home, and we have this Figma thing, and we're writing a bunch of stuff down. So don't fear, things are more or less in place. But yeah, I need to keep going, you know, and see what it looks like. But yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I hope it's a good idea in execution. We're gonna have to find out the hard way. So yeah, what do we want to do? So we have the cards in our hands now. And I want to make it, you know, honestly, I want those things to be very satisfying, but our character controller, I think, is responsible, but we also have, so I have to figure out how I want to do, like, you know, this graveyard deck, because I want your main deck, I want your graveyard, and I want there to be some maybe interesting, interesting mechanics in between things. Like it would be kind of cool if like you had a card that said like, for the next minute, any enemies you kill get added to your graveyard stack, and as you add enemies to your graveyard stack, your damage increases by some certain percentage based on how many enemies are killed and stuff like that. Like there's definitely some cool synergies that I need to think about. And what can be shared in between classes and stuff like that, but yeah, someday. Card. I haven't worked with the cards in so long, so I don't remember where all this stuff is. So we got the current hand. We have all this, so we can get max hand count. And what are we doing? We're getting from the player state, we're getting the deck manager component. So we need to go to the player state. We only have about 12 minutes left for the stream. Let's see if we could speedrun an idea. Like what I want to see is how easy I can build a passive thing that increases your movement speed. So we do have something called a deck graveyard. That's cool. But yeah, we have test activability, test card, and this. So why do I have 6 cards? I don't have a blueprint. Do I have anything in the deck manager? I also have to work on like the elevator pitch for this game too, because like I'd like there, you know, at some point be able to pitch this and, you know, see if we can get some interesting support. But, you know, that's a long ways away. So in the card template, we're doing that. So for our deck manager component, let's just make this empty and just see if we get cards drawn. Yeah, we have 3. 3 seemingly empty So it's in our current hand. So let's look. Do that. Now our active deck. Okay, so I know why. Because our current hand has these in here anyway. So we need to just remove them. There you go. So yeah, let's see if we can prove how quick this can be. So we're gonna grab an example. So card data, let's make a new folder. So speed modifier, cards. The copy. So we'll say DA cards, base speed modifier. Let's add this. Oh, I need to connect to my server, which not yet. I gotta log into Perforce. Hopefully it'll let me. Oh my god. Let's close out of it and open it again. Sorry for your eyes. It's bright. Got it. Yes. Let's try renaming this again. So DA cards. Speed. So now we have our player cards, and we have rows here. So we're gonna say card 05, and we're gonna say card name. We're gonna say which UE version of this do I have? This is 5.7, one of the later ones. I'm trying to create a project using Guest, but it seems quite hard. Yeah, there's a lot of boilerplate that you need to do in C++. There is some, I think, free stuff on that. I hope it's free. We can look real quick. So I think it's called Gas Companion, which does a lot of it for you. And yeah, it's no, it's not free. That's a shame. But yeah, if you need help, I would recommend going to this documentation, or there was another one I was looking up. So yes. I'll put video for it, but now there's one tutorial on it. Start with gas community tutorial, blah, 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 best practices for setup. Yeah. Also check that out. Two very good resources. So back here, so we're gonna say speed modifier. By X%. Yeah, and we have different cards. We have a global passive, a passive ability card, consumable card. Then we have these things. So I'm gonna do CAS, movement, speed, modifier. And I'm hoping it's as simple as this, where I can create a gameplay effect, PE, test card, movement, speed, modifier. I'm also going to have to figure out what the best organization is for this. It also seems like so much where I have, you know, a data asset that kind of, I think this like cart data asset seems like such a useless thing because I link then to a data table row that then links to an ability set that grants things. But in theory, I think it should be enough. I don't want to grant an ability here. I want to modify. And we'll say, yeah, for 10 seconds. Should have a movement speed, right? So it's a movement speed. Gonna add. Attribute base. We're gonna add. Do backing attribute movement speed. Target. Snapshot. I think it should multiply it by 0.1. Now we should be able to add that. We have that speed modifier. So now we just gotta link it. So card 5 needs to link to this thing. In theory, that works. Thank you. I know this docs. I saw some of your videos on YouTube and they helped me a lot. Oh, okay, awesome. Especially the video about send target data to the server. Yeah, that was when I was trying to do multiplayer for this game, but yeah, I decided to drop that idea. Oh, breakpoint. Multiplayer was just too much to really handle, and I don't really have the means to test this too well. So yeah, we have our speed modifier. I can only really activate it from here, but if I use it, I think I'm faster. We'll find out. Let's make this like double. And let's look at our, luckily, you know, we already have our gameplay attributes. Should be able to see the base, and we have movement speed multiplier is 1. So when I use this, now it's 4. And now I'm going really fast. But yeah, that math isn't really mathing too much. And I guess it's how I'm treating it. Maybe I just need to add to the base. I should get 2. Activate this card. So more or less kind of doubling. Getting 4. But at least I know that it's, you know, modifying the speed as I'd expect it to. But yeah, that attribute modification is just not really what I'm thinking it is. So maybe it doesn't need to be attribute based. I could just add, you know, 0.1. And I should get 1.1 as my multiplier. I'm getting 1.2. So I do add final. Because if this was fucking up, then that's my next problem to solve. Why my attributes not being calculated correctly. So modify it, bam. Yeah, still 1.2. Does it last 10 seconds? Yeah. So yeah, gonna have to figure that out. I also need to update my dodge so that's not really stack based. Is this debug window native from Gas or did you create it? I created it. This is I Am GUI. It's a plugin that you can also get. It's free, and it gives you a library to kind of draw stuff. And yeah, it's extremely useful. That's why I created it. But I should. I think I've updated it recently. I have my Deck Knight open source, which is the code for this project. You should be able to see it. You won't be able to see like the IMGUI plugin or anything like that, but you'll at least get to see the code base. I'm not going to say it's not going to compile, it's not going to do anything for you, but at the very least, you should be able to see what I'm doing for things like the attributes panel. So I'm going to show you a link directly to that, but you can look through the code base so you can look at stuff like that. Because yeah, this IMGUI is so super useful. I can modify an attribute at runtime. I can see the values at runtime. So I can, for example, make my max health 200, and you'll see the health bar on the bottom left. Update. I can make my health 100 out of 200. I can update things like the card resource, which I had to do a lot of when I was setting up this UI. It was a godsend. So, if I set, my current card energy to 2, you'll see it there. I can set my max card energy to like 8, so then I'll have up to 8 I can fill. I can make 7. It does a lot of cool stuff. And it kind of is responsive because it's all based on attributes and responding to like the attribute changes. So I need to figure out why this is not working. So I'm going to put this as some notes, but then we're going to have to call it a night. So give me a second here. Let's go into our task list, make a new task. So fix movement speed multiplier attribute modification calculation. Hey, thanks for the subscription there, G, on YouTube. Much appreciated. Thanks for checking it out. So yeah, movement speed modification. So, Where can I edit? Here we go. So modifying movement speed by 0.1. Let me just really give myself all the information I need. Results and any that's what we'll look at going into it next time. I'll also create it, or did I fuck that up? Oh, it's up here. It's up here. Okay. Great night. So fix movement speed. I also have to do redo input schema for card usage in menu. That is what we'll also do next time. Things also to additionally think about. Well, can't even see what I'm writing. Think about what do I want to think about? Think about content directory setup for cards data. Set sets. That'll also be next time. So we'll probably be back on Thursday. But I'm definitely glad and happy with the progress we made. So we were able to get our damage pipeline debug open and working. So now we can preview all our damage events, our healing events. We can categorize them by damage type and whether or not they were critical hits or damage over time, whether or not we received them or applied them, and whether it's the dummy character that we're listening at or the player. So as I hit him, we're getting all the damage information relative to it. And we can also simulate that damage if we want to. And we can filter out the simulated damage if we want to. And it all seems to work pretty well. And I can get healed. And if I get healed, my healing is then as well in here. So all is working pretty decently. So that's where I'm going to end it for everyone here. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go ahead and we will raid first Crimson. Hope you guys watch him. He's awesome. Crimson. How do you spell it? Crimson. And thanks for everybody for the follows. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thanks for chatting. It's all very much appreciated. So we'll try to get on later in the week. If I don't see you, enjoy your day, enjoy your night, and I'll see you soon.